Hello, I'm Lisa Tyler. I'm the host of Senior Connections, which is the monthly television show brought to you by Senior Resources, your local area agency on aging. And we come together every month to talk about any kind of services and programs available to older adults in the Muskegon County area. And it's a pretty wide and sometimes overwhelming system of services, and we try to help you navigate it by having different topics that could relate to long-term care options, prescription benefits, community services out there, and much, much more. And it is July when we're taping this. Businesses and buildings are opening again throughout the community after a long pandemic, which we're still in, but we are coming out of. And our exciting news is that Tanglewood Park is open. All 3 agencies in Tanglewood Park are open to some degree, and we're going to talk about that today. So hopefully you're familiar with Tanglewood Park. It is the former D&W grocery store that's located at 560 Seminole Road in Norton Shores, right in front of a bunch of road construction at the moment to make it even more beautiful over there. And that building, houses 3 agencies: Senior Resources, AgeWell Services, and LifeCircles Pace. And so I am pleased to have 2 guests with me today, Angela Weaver from AgeWell Services and Sarah Milanowski from LifeCircles Pace. And we're going to talk about the 3 different agencies, what's happening, what's new, and welcome. It's so exciting to actually see you. It's been an eternity. I feel like it's been a crazy year. So we're going to talk about them specifically, but we'll just remind you that Tanglewood Park is a building that houses 3 agencies. It's named Tanglewood Park because the 2 streets, it's on Seminole Road, as I mentioned, between Tanglewood and Park Streets, there came the name. It is not an actual agency itself, but the home of 3 different agencies. Used to be 4. Call 211 was there with us before they moved out on their own a few years ago. Interestingly, because we needed more room. And that's all changed now too because of COVID, but that's a whole other conversation. So the idea of Tanglewood Park was to have these organizations that all serve older adults, and we all have similar missions to try to keep older adults independent, living a great life for as long as possible. And we do that in different ways, which is what we'll be talking about today. But it's been an immense success, and to the point that we had to have an expansion a few years ago. So before we get into some of that, we'll learn more about my friends, my guests. So let's hear from you, Sarah, a little bit about you and your role at LifeCircles and how long you've been there and what you do.
Thanks, Lisa. It's so exciting to see you guys face to face without masks.
Without masks, even better.
I see smiles and lipstick now.
Oh, the lipstick. That was, and I've always been a big lipstick wearer, but I did actually still wear it under my mask. But now I have to, the mask made me realize I had to do my eyes more. That's a whole other conversation.
Absolutely. Well, I'm Sarah. I am a geriatric social worker by training. I've been with LifeCircles Pace for about 5 years. And I used to be the enrollment social worker for the PACE program out of Holland. So LifeCircles actually provides the PACE option for seniors who want to stay at home through Muskegon County, through most of Ottawa County, and the western portion of Allegan County. And then just recently I've become the manager of enrollment and communications for LifeCircles, trying to get the word out because oftentimes we're known as the best kept secret in the area, and then also to make sure that people who are interested in the program are able to enroll with ease and quickly. So
I thought we were the best kept secret. We hear that. We're the you don't know us until you need us is our unofficial tagline.
Yeah, that's a good one too.
So you keep the best kept secret, we'll keep you don't know us until
we'd rather not have any of those
I
titles,
know,
right?
Exactly. But people know about AgeWell Services a little bit more. So
I need to learn everything from you, Angela.
Well, I don't know about that. So yes, my name is Angela Weaver, and I am the Mission Services Senior Manager at AgeWell, and I've been there for 5 years. Started out doing some contractual work, and then quickly became the Senior Manager. Basically, my role is to oversee all of our programming that touches people. So I oversee the teams for Meals on Wheels, for our lunch and activity centers, our senior center activity funding through the senior millage, as well as our wellness program. So there's a lot of pieces and parts to all of those programs, so I have a really great team that helps us deliver our services, and I think we're going to probably get more into that as we go. So.
All right, so let's get right into that. So Sarah, I know that PACE stands for Program of All-Inclusive Care for the Elderly. So now you know that too. But our viewers might not know much about LifeCircles and know what a PACE program is and how you help older adults stay home. So talk about what kind of services you have there.
Yeah. So PACE is a type of program that exists across the country. Along the lakeshore, LifeCircles has been providing the service for about 12 years. Our number one goal is to help an older adult who may have some changing health needs or some chronic issues that make it harder to access the community, have the resources in place to live in their own home, their own apartment for as long as possible. We want to support seniors in their independence and provide just the right service at just the right time so that they can have the best quality of life and live life on their own terms. The way we do that, as you've mentioned, is kind of unique, and we do this all-inclusive care model. We basically say we're one-stop shopping from bringing in physical therapy that can last as long as someone needs it and it benefits by it, to bringing in equipment and resources to someone's home like a wheelchair ramp, to providing geriatric-specific medical care. All of those things and many, many more are wrapped together to basically provide a custom program for each individual. We know just you and I and you are all very unique, and our situations, our needs, and our goals are unique, and we try to customize a package with a team of expert professionals to provide care that makes sense for that person and maybe that family.
Perfect. So if people have been driving, and I'm kind of going to go back pre-pandemic because everything changed in 2020.
Yeah.
So more recently or pre-pandemic, you might see these big old vans that have the logo or the words LifeCircles. What are those for?
Yes. So we know that as someone ages, it's common for your connections and your world to sort of get a little bit smaller and a little bit smaller and a little bit smaller over time. Your peers, your friends, your close connections that you played cards with, it may be more difficult to get out and see them. Unfortunately, maybe some of those connections have passed away. So your world kind of gets smaller, and we know that accessing services can be challenging. So we provide medical transportation with the help of a partner agency, Pioneer Resources. So you might see co-branded buses in the community. Sometimes there isn't even a LifeCircles logo on it, it's just Pioneer Resources. But we provide door-through-door transportation for those people in our program. It can help people access medical services, dialysis, our day center, and it's all accessible transportation. We provide a bus aid that can go and meet someone at the home to help them get ready for the bus, to help them get onto the bus, and to even ride the bus. Whatever you need, we can.
So if they need help from getting home to the day center, which is what a lot of people think of when they think of LifeCircles, that's provided. And then also, I know that you provide medical care there at the facility, but if they need to go to a specialist or something like that, there's transportation available for that as well.
Exactly. When someone joins our program, they use our program as their main primary care office, their sort of hub of healthcare. And the transportation can bring them to and from our hub, but also now that we're in this new world, we're also providing a lot of supports directly in the home. So our medical team will also do home visits if someone needs it. But if someone's utilizing our day center services or our therapy gym, they would use our Pioneer Resource transportation if they would like. They can use their own transportation as well. You don't have to.
Right.
It's available and part of that all-inclusive package.
Okay. So we'll talk briefly about the day center a little bit more, but because I know that's one of the things I visualize, and that's one of the things that unfortunately changed in COVID. Is that open again now?
Yes. So our day center was used on a limited basis throughout the pandemic. So we quickly switched gears, as all of us did, in trying to keep frail older adults safe at home and avoid adding complications to their lives, right? So services that we were providing in our center went to the home. The last, I would say, 6 months or so, we've been utilizing our day centers on a limited basis, case by case, for people who need more respite care, a break from their family or their loved one needs a break, someone who has more complex health needs or more complex physical therapy needs, and the therapy can't be provided very well in their current space. They need to access a larger therapy gym. So we are using our transportation to bring people to and from. We went from having on average 150 people a day at our center and just buzzing in this dynamic place with musicians and guests and all sorts of things to having maybe 10 to 20 people participate in our center. Yeah, so it's been quite a difference. We've been deploying our recreation therapists into the community to help with some of that loneliness and isolation, but it looks quite different. We hope, because we are technically labeled a healthcare facility, we've got sort of some different opening requirements, but we do hope that by August, September, we will be much, much closer to pre-pandemic use of our facilities. It sort of depends on social distancing for healthcare and the use of our buses. Right now, before the pandemic,
only have so many people.
Exactly, we can have maybe 2 people on a bus that can hold 15.
So before you could do that and be efficient and effective with all of that. But yeah, it's a lot different. How do people pay for services, and how do they learn about long-term care Medicaid and things that help with that?
That's a great question. So we do find, and I'm sure you find that people sometimes don't realize that there's this larger funding of Medicaid services that people may not have been eligible for in their younger years, or maybe they applied for it and were denied. But once they have different aging needs, they're eligible for a different type of Medicaid, long-term care Medicaid. So we actually have social workers that assess and work with people as they learn about the PACE program, and they will also walk step by step with someone to complete a Medicaid application if they are eligible. So they will meet with you in your home, they will help you go over your records to see if you're eligible and help you make a plan and go through some of those more complicated parts of filling out the paperwork. So most people in the PACE program use long-term care Medicaid to fund the program. If they have Medicaid from the state of Michigan, the individual pays nothing out of pocket for the program. So for most people, they're not paying anything to utilize our services as long as they have a functional need for this type of care.
And they have to medically qualify, have some conditions and things that qualify for that. So so my next question was going to be about people coming back to the building, but you've really covered that. So some of those things were offered in the home, but some of the things you're still slowly doing, like physical therapy and some of those kind of things. And I know that isolation is a really big concern for all of us dealing with that, because I know when we talked to Angela, when we talked about Meals on Wheels, that's always been a really big part of those wellness checks. Are you seeing people coming back, or the people that came back after they really couldn't, because we really did have that lockdown period for a while where we really couldn't have many people. Are you seeing changes in people, either positive or negative? Did you see?
Yeah, I think I would imagine we've all seen that this past year has been hard on all of us, but for our older adults, I think many people sort of put on pause other health issues and health needs because the primary focus was to stay safe and to avoid exposure, and so staying in your home. So I think across the medical field, we're seeing sicker, frailer individuals because so many things have gone untreated for a while. We're seeing a lot more interest in the program now. I think people are beginning to feel like there are real changes being made. We're making progress with vaccinations across the board. So I think we're seeing the past year has been very difficult. It's taken a toll on people health-wise. Certainly we know mental health-wise. We have a behavioral health team through LifeCircles that also has noticed some changes over the past year. Yes. Yes, and also part of our program supports care partners. So maybe a family caregiver is what the term typically is. We call them care partners. We've noticed some increased stress, some increased anxiety, lots of increased changes in overall mental health and functioning there too. So I've talked so long now I've forgotten what the original question was.
You pretty much answered it. We'll give you a break and we'll switch to Angela. So let's talk about AgeWell. So you mentioned Meals on Wheels. I think most people know AgeWell for Meals on Wheels.
I would agree.
Home delivered meals, but Meals on Wheels is what people know.
Sure.
Or they might know the Wellness Center. I would say that people, if they talk about coming to Tanglewood Park, they're usually talking about one of your two programs more than Senior Resources, because we do a lot of our stuff in the homes with people.
Sure.
But there's a lot more than those two programs. There's senior transportation, the congregate meals, and the senior center activities, and a lot more. And you kept, I mean, all of us kept doing our work,
Sure.
but you really kept on going. You were still delivering meals
Yeah.
differently.
Yeah. So
more than ever you were delivering those and doing some other essential senior transportation. So talk a little bit about how you had to quickly shift, but yet still stay true to that mission.
Yeah. So Meals on Wheels, you're absolutely right. We were inundated with new participants simply because being homebound was a real thing for a lot more people than it was prior to. So we definitely felt that. And we're able to do a pretty good job serving those individuals. We did, we do a priority system for all of our participants to make some decisions on how many meals and those types of things. But we had a wait list for an extremely short period of time that we're very proud. It was so short. We were able to kind of get everybody fed that had that need. We are now, the other thing that happened obviously was the lunch and activity centers, or our congregate meal sites, had to close.
Right.
It was done. So we had to think quickly. So some of those individuals, we knew they had a nutritional need, and now they're homebound. So again, going to HDM. But we also knew there were some people who could still get out, would still need those meals. So we very quickly, and I think a lot of the community, the schools I think of, decided to do curbside meal distributions and meal bundles. And so within those lunch and activity centers, we really created curbside meal distributions for each of those sites, as well as other sites that just weren't necessarily a lunch and activity site, but it was a site in Muskegon, Oceana, or Ottawa counties, and they had a high senior population, and we needed to feed them. So through that, those curbsides, in kind of the midst of that shutdown, we served over 40,000 meals via those curbsides. So that was something that we're very proud of. It was a lot of cold, hard work, but everybody was really there to love on people from a distance and give them the food they needed. So we're really proud of that. Senior transportation, as you mentioned, typically provide just medical transportation to our Muskegon County seniors. Unfortunately, the other thing that kind of was in play with our organization was we really heavily rely on volunteers, and many of our volunteers were at risk.
Right.
And so for the senior transportation program, we had volunteers weren't comfortable and weren't safe, quite honestly, and we didn't feel like we wanted to send them out there. Same with our Meals on Wheels drivers. So we really, for that program, had to focus on only the individuals who had cancer treatment and dialysis treatment during that time.
Truly life-saving.
Truly life-saving, yep. So we're opening that up a little more as our volunteers come back. Same with Meals on Wheels. We had people driving from staff, and so now we're seeing some people come back after they've had their vaccinations and things like that. So yeah, we did some pivots for sure. The wellness team, because again, that had to be closed, they went and worked in different departments. We're in the kitchen. We were doing all kinds of fun stuff, doing 2 shifts of the kitchen so we could socially distance everybody and make these 1,500 meals that go out of our kitchen every day that doesn't change. So that was neat to see them do that. But in addition to that wellness team just began to look at the participants, began to make birthday calls, do miss you parades. You saw those birthday parades. We were out there driving past our most at risk, just hollering and hooping and being safe, but letting them know, we're here, we miss you. We did some curbside, we kind of took the meal curbside distribution theory or idea and made it into an activity kit distribution. So we sent out activity kits and things for people to do so they could, engage their mind and not feel so lonely. And so there was a lot that the organization
did. Some virtual, Fran,
we
did some virtual classes,
we
some
did
exercise
some virtual
classes so people could do that as we all got really used to our computers or streaming things.
Yeah, we did fitness virtual classes. We did lunch and learn, online lunch and learn. So Brain Health University we tried online. So we tried to use virtual as much as possible.
But we're open now, so you've got wellness classes and art classes and things going. So talk to us a little bit about what that looks. So when we're taping it, it's right now July 14th. So when you watch this, it might be later, but tell us what it looks like now.
Right now. So we are opened at a limited capacity. We are basically serving. Our hours right now are Monday through Friday, 8 to 2, very different than our typical hours. July 26th, we're opening. Like, we have hours beginning July 26th that will be 8 to 4 o'clock Monday through Thursday, and then still 8 to 2 on Friday. But providing all of our same fitness classes. We're doing some outdoor classes in the community too, but completely open and ready for people to come in. We did open initially February 2021, and that was really very limited capacity, just trying to get people that could come out.
You were having like 5 or 6 people in the class, and they had to sign up ahead of time.
It was intense. It was pretty, and the work that went into setting that up administratively. But the seniors and the participants were amazing.
Oh, they couldn't
and
wait to come back.
They couldn't wait, and we couldn't wait for them to come back. So yes, we are open. We are providing art classes, education classes. Our next session will be July 26th, so I don't know when this airs, but lots of good stuff in full force back.
And what about the cafe? Right now the cafe is open 11 to 2. Are those hours going to change after July 26th or not yet?
Not yet. Nope, we don't have any sort of idea of when those will change, but it is open to the public, and they do have yummy, it's a limited menu, but they have their favorites on there.
Yes. The really great wraps, the salads, the delicious hot dogs. Those hot dogs are so good. There's
chicken
no
salad
breakfast
is
right
wonderful.
now. That's the biggest
No
change.
breakfast.
There's still a
Soup?
soup.
Always such good soup.
Yeah.
Our entire team loves to eat in the cafe.
Yeah.
Well, and that's been a big change too, because your cafe workers switched over to doing home delivered meals and things. And then when we're not all in the building, a big part of your business is the staff at our 3 agencies.
Absolutely.
So I can certainly understand that challenge.
Yeah.
So, let's talk a little bit about the philosophy of the wellness program, SPINS. I know about that, but tell us, is that an acronym?
Yeah.
Are we talking about SPIN classes, which I know you've
we
started
have,
now?
right. So that's actually, no, it is an acronym, and it's definitely our philosophy and what we believe, whether it's a fitness class or a lunch and learn or an art class, we believe that you will experience one or many of these SPINs in these classes. So it's social, physical, intellectual, nutritional, and spiritual. I wanted to do it in order. And really what we believe is, of course, wellness is moving your body. That's very important, and I think that's the go-to that everybody thinks of. But wellness for us, whether you're aging or not, is really bigger than that. It's all of those things in one, and looking at the entire person in front of you and saying, what do you need? Do you need to learn about brain health? And are you concerned about, dementia? Or what are your fears about aging? And how can we get you into one of our classes, one of our series of lunch and learns, one of our art classes, to give you wellness and life, and kind of looking at that person as a whole person, and not just go out and do a Zumba class. There's much more to that. So that's kind of when you're taking a class, or when you're looking at our Advantage, which is our publication for our wellness center, really kind of pay attention to what those classes are, whether it's a fitness class or not, because we've really tried to make sure those SPINs are obvious in there.
So you've also, pre-pandemic, had things like hosting the charted staffing for working on advanced directives. That's been, and you've had attorneys to come in and do consultations for people, so that all fits into that. It's more than just the things you offer.
Absolutely. Yep, it's foot care. It's making sure they're aware of, their options when it comes to hearing and what places are looped. And we've had people come in and kind of talk about that. So, it really is much more less about us and more about them in the community and what we have to offer in the community. That's very important.
So I'm going to take just a minute to talk about senior resources a little bit. So we are also open. So our wonderful, friendly receptionists are back. It's Nancy there Monday through Thursday, and Bridget, because the people who come in there know those two smiling faces. Bridget's there on Fridays. One of the things I've been most excited about is that our caregiver support group, which has grown tremendously since just under 2 years that we actually designated a full-time person for that. they've been meeting remotely or virtually during all of this, and then last summer would do things out at parks when they could do that. But that's been meeting in person at Tanglewood in the conference rooms again. So that's on a Wednesday afternoon from 1 to 2:30, and then they still do a virtual group. What I think we've discovered, I did Dementia Friends, which we've never talked about here because it's a conversation with myself because I oversee it, so I can't bring somebody else in to talk. Well, Lisa, what do you think about that? Well, Lisa, I feel like it's like a Mel Brooks skit waiting to happen or something like that, or an SNL or something like that. We've done that virtually as well. And one of the things we've had conversations about, and I'm sure you have in your organizations as well, is we're not going away from that. It's going to be, everything's hybrid. That's the new buzzword, isn't it? Hybrid. We're only working in our homes some days and in the office some days. But we've discovered that advantage to not having to drive, even for us, 15 minutes to get to a meeting downtown Muskegon and 15 minutes back. Or when we'd have staff that has to go to Lansing for something and now being able to do that. Or for our case, because we all cover roughly the same areas, knowing that somebody from Holland or from Grand Haven could zoom in to a caregiver support group without having to wait for one to come that isn't the right day of the week for them or something. So I think I am always a glass half full kind of person. That's what I've seen that was positive out of all of this, is we've discovered new ways of doing business. It hasn't all been great the ideal way, but we found a lot of positives that we will carry forward, that we've found different ways of that touch of, we couldn't go and still aren't in visiting our participants in the home because we take our direction from the Department of Health and Human Services, and when they say we can do that, we do. But phone calls are a big part. And the biggest positive I think that came out of all of this is to see the conversations happening about older adults. Because the pandemic, we all started talking about them a lot more, didn't we? When we were trying to protect our grandparents or our elderly neighbors, but we just had more conversations about the importance of that. And I think that had been missing. And so I think that's been a really positive thing. And I look forward to us all getting back and seeing each other a little bit more, seeing our participants, seeing how they've changed. You know, a lot of us, I think, have just got new outlooks on life because we've really had to look at what we value. I feel like I'm being real preachy here, but I think it's important that we've all done that as individuals, but I'm sure our older adults that we serve are doing the same kind of thing.
Absolutely.
And I know we have about a minute and a half left, but I thought it was important. All of a sudden I realized I should ask, because we all serve slightly different age demographics. You have the youngest ones. At Senior Resources, it's 60 and over, or people with disabilities who qualify can do that. At LifeCircles, it's what?
It's 55 or better for our core PACE program. It can be younger if someone just uses our day center only later this summer.
Okay. And?
So it is complex at AgeWell, just like everything else. So for our wellness center alone, we don't turn anybody away, but our target is 50 and up. For our congregate or our meal site and activity centers, as well as our home delivered meals and our senior transportation, it is 60 and up. So there's some other eligibility, you know, we can work around, but for
that
the
all
most
depends
part,
on funding sources and things, because we have funding sources that say they have to be all of those kind of things. But so basically 50, 55, 60, and everything else in between there. Call us.
Come and see us.
Thank you both for joining us. This half hour went really fast. Lots of great information. You can find out more by calling our receptionist at Tanglewood Park at 739-5858, and she can connect you with anybody in the building that's needed. We're also open for business Monday through Friday. Varying hours depending on which organization, but our receptionist is there roughly from 7:30 till 4:30. And then if you can't remember that, please remember to call 211. They're available 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, and they have translation services available as well as you need it. And we hope that you'll join us next month when we will talk about some more programs for older adults. Thanks for joining us today.